Ultimately, this is a video for parents that want their kids to feel happier, have a longer fuse. None of you know what that means. So it's able to, kids are able to calm themselves easier. They're increasing their ability to shift gears between emotions or shift gears between activities so they can change activities easier. This means they're less rigid, as well as improving diagnoses such as ADHD, anxiety, autism, sensory integration disorders, auditory processing, dyslexia, other reading disorders, over arousal issues, or a lot of this, right? I started introducing something, right? Sound therapy, right? And how this works. I got many messages and many people are asking questions. This is not just listening to music. This is very special music. It's like kind of saying playing a video game will make you smarter, comparing that to neurofeedback. No, not at all the same thing. Playing Sudoku on your iPad is not making you smarter, you guys. But doing clinically supported neurofeedback that looks like you're doing that, but you're controlling that with your brain waves, very, very different result. This is the same way. So if you missed part one yesterday, introducing the concept of sound frequency and or pitch discrimination, as it's called, please be sure to go back and watch that video from yesterday to fully understand some of this. So that's what this is, a very foundational device for therapy that I use in my practice. I've been using this about 11 years. I'm certified, trained to do this in office as well as remote supervision. So let's go through it again a little bit. Listening to classical music that's been enhanced, it's been altered, digitally altered with science, right? With certain sound frequencies, it's definitely known to support parts of the brain that are lacking in connection in areas, connection and communication, and we're increasing that connection and we're increasing that communication. That's absolutely been proven to change the brain's ability to regulate and use language, which, you know, is a big deal. So how? First, let me tell you the story. I told the story yesterday. I'll tell a different story today about, and I think it's important you know who this guy is. He is the founder of, considered the founder of all sound therapies. There are many other devices. There are competitors. I think this is the best one on the market. That's why I use it. But he's Dr. Tomatis is his name. And he was born in, I think, around 1920 in France. And so he was practicing in like the 50s and 60s, figuring things out. He was the son of an opera singer. Now, even in today's culture, whatever your parents kind of are, you often are going to be doing a lot of that. Certainly way back then, if your family were welders, you probably were going to be welders. But certain things had a very strong niche. Like if you were born into you know, the circus, you're probably going to be a circus performer as well. If you're born into a family of opera singers, they wanted you to become an opera singer. All right. He ended up becoming a physician and he focused on ear, nose, and throat because he was trying to help opera singers by improving their vocal tone and their ability to have wider range and frequency of what they could emit. So he therefore was around a lot of opera singers, right? His subculture of life were opera singers. So when he became an ENT, he did make the connection like, well, I think sound, the ear, nose, and throat all go together. I think I can make someone a better singer by opening up their ears. So he started training all these opera singers with different sound therapies that he was developing and figuring out frequencies to open up their voice, to make them better. Well, of course, all the opera singers had all their children that they wanted them to be opera singers. So they were like, do it on the kids. Well, what ended up happening was that there was this unknown, well, let me say, all the opera singers came back to him and said, what are you doing to the kids? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They go, because their schoolwork is better, their memory is better, they're calmer, their moods, they're listening better. Like they're just, everything about them is better. Like they're smarter and calmer. What are you doing? And they thought he had some like magical parenting technique, or he told them something and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't do what? He goes, but that's interesting. Like, let me try to figure this out. So we had this unknown effect, right? An unknown outcome he wasn't expecting, but then he started exploring it. Like, why are the kids better? I'm just trying to make them better singers. But why is their schoolwork easier? Why is their memory improved? Why has their mood changed? Why, are they not fighting as much? Let's make some experiments and try to figure that out. So Dr. Tomatis went down that road from an accidental finding that it seemed to improve the mood and intelligence, or at least the schoolwork and everything of these children, and parents and families were much happier. So he said, let's try to see. So that started this whole thing, and how you could leverage sound to help children have better education and make them smarter and happier emotionally, have better behavior, right? So the reality is Pokey. Yeah, he's such a baby. Baby. You might have to go down. He's very spoiled. You have to hold him like a baby. Maybe he'll be fine. So how did that happen? Right? Ultimately, how did trying to make them better singers turn them into, well, then go down. I don't know what to do. All right, I'm going to explain to you the neurological ways, right? So sound uses various pathways that are stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. That will be important. And it can cause changes in the brain due to neuroplasticity. You're going to learn what this is if you don't know. Neuroplasticity. So one, how does sound do this? Through neuroplasticity. And that's the brain's ability to change itself due to stimulus at any age. We did not think that this was possible before. We thought you get a certain point, the brain cells, that's a number, that's it. You're never going to make new ones. That's all been debunked. So somebody who went to school 50 years ago, even 30 years ago, you weren't taught this. In graduate school, I was taught the number of brain cells you have, they start dying, and that's it. You never get new ones. Not true. We can make new neurons, and we can make better connections. So that's what neuroplasticity is. Happens till the day you die if you stimulate yourself enough with healthy stimulation. So neuroplasticity, sound therapy creates direct changes to the brain in a few ways through neuroplasticity. It creates new connections, right? Therefore, increasing the number of connections. This is good. This is what we want, right? This is what we want, YouTube. And it improves and enhances the neural pathways that already exist. So we're going to make new connections, so we have more connections, therefore, and we're going to enhance and strengthen the pathways. So basically, we take like a dirt road and turn it into a superhighway, okay? Two, the other way, sound, another neurological way, is the vagus nerve. Important. The vagus nerve is a cranial nerve, and it's the strongest part of your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the most calming part of your nervous system. That's the rest and digest. The vagus nerve has a branch that goes to your ear. Y'all know how rubbing a Q-tip in your ear feels, like almost orgasmic at times? That is why. You're like, oh my, vagus nerve, it calms you down, okay? So when you stimulate the vagus nerve in any way, and the ear is one through sound, it down regulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of the parasympathetic. And that is your fight or flight. I don't know, my dog, you guys, I'm sorry. The fight or flight part of your nervous system, that's where we get over arousal, right? And the inability to calm down, inability to shift gears, and what looks like opposition, what looks like rigidity, because it's really a fight or flight takeover of the system, right? That shouldn't be happening very often, but we can see it happening on people all the time. It's like they're in constant popping off, okay? Not healthy, not normal, okay? So that's the second way. The third way sound is so important, sound therapy. It helps with body organization. And this is a thing that I think more parents and more teachers and more schools and the homeschool community needs to really start to understand, because this is the big major flaw in education. Body organization You can hear what that sounds like. Organization of the body systems, of the muscles and the vestibulocochlear system, proprioception, having strength and coordination, a strong core. All of this comes through movement. It is the foundation of all higher learning. It's the foundation, YouTube, of cognitive processing. If you have poor body organization, the brain doesn't have any resources left, has no energy to produce attention, focus, impulse control, all the things that schools and teachers are demanding and requiring of children. And if they don't have it, they say they have a disorder and they want to drug them. Okay. So by sending children to school and forcing children to sit all day, by keeping them at home, allowing them to watch TV, play video games, stay inside, and making them spend hours of time doing rote memorization worksheets and blah, 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 we're robbing them of climbing trees, falling off slides, scraping knees, playing tag, swimming, king of the hill, queen of the hill, whatever. And all these other exploratory movements that are really required YouTube to build more brain cells and create body organization. So the sedentary lifestyle that our overweight and obese adults have imposed upon all their children to make them sedentary and over fat and now obese and diabetic as well, is also creating this horribly poor body organization, which is the foundation of higher learning. So now you're sending them to school and everyone's like, you know, because they can't do it because they have no body organization. All right. So this is what we've done. So movement and gravity, especially unrestricted and self-guided in nature, with some risk, let them take some risks. It's going to happen. Relax. Body will heal. Okay. It's the best way for children to build this body organization naturally, right? They don't have to consciously think about it. They don't need therapists. They just need to be out there doing it. But instead, right, schools and our modern lifestyle with digital babysitters, that's what you're doing. Yeah, let's just tell the truth. And also highly anxious parents, right? The parents are highly anxious. The parents are dissociated. The parents are obsessed with their thing as well. They can't be bothered. So everybody's just in their own separate isolation. No one's moving. It's really created this helmeted, bubbled world where kids sit inside without the right movement, nutrition. It's movement, nutrition, sound nutrition, and they're not building body organization. So tangent, but it's important. The fourth way that sound therapy leverages all of this is that music and language share the same neurological pathways. I talked about that in part 1, but we're going to talk about it again specifically. So you can use music, right, to allow the brain to easily learn it's going to track letters, learn sounds. It needs to pick up intonations and patterns. And therefore, that's how you learn to read properly. You actually learn to read with your ears. This is not what people understand. The ears are controlling how the eyes and the voice are all working. It's all working together. If the eyes can't track properly and grab the letters, we've got a problem. So I have to care about how these are working. We got to get this going well. And the ears need to be able to pick up all of that rhythm, intonation, inflection, patterns, and make sound, assign sound to a symbol. It's a very weird thing to look at these symbols called letters and put these weird sounds to them. They don't actually make any sense, okay? Especially like English doesn't make any sense, really. So we can use that to help them learn to read properly without ever forcing a child too soon that isn't ready neurologically, that doesn't have the right connections, doesn't have the right body organization. Because when you do that, you're creating incoherent brain connections and setting them up to have a reading disorder later. because they're practicing very bad habits. It's like learning a golf swing. If you're trying to swing a golf club like you swing a bat, it's a mess. And you'll sometimes look and go, oh, but if you make them practice it wrong over and over, now we've got muscle memory, neurological memory. Breaking a bad habit is so much harder than just taking the time to do it the right way. Right. Does that make sense? Anybody who's played sports knows, trust me, I played baseball and trying to learn how to swing a golf club. They're like, honey, it's not a bat. I'm like, well, what? Very weird, totally different new motion to take one athlete, put it to another thing. It's very weird. So I'm going to go into that sound and the music and the language in the next video, much more specifically, because that's enough for part 2. Okay. So in part 3, I'm going to continue to explain how music goes after language, reading, writing, and speaking very specifically, and a little bit further in how the vagus nerve is being activated through bone conduction, and explain the science of that. Again, if you're already interested and you want to know more, reach out to me. I rent these devices for my personal clinical devices. I'm going to meet with people in Atlanta only. I'm not shipping this to like California, my personal units, but I can train anybody all over the country and other countries. I don't know how far they ship. Integrated Listening Systems is out of Colorado. Most of all their studies, they have tons of studies luckily they've partnered up with the Colorado public school system. So they're in tons of schools. If you're a teacher or principal, have those connections, occupational therapist, you should really, if the school bought, 10 of these units, and part of the hour of every day kids were using these, at least the kids who are having IEP, and are being pulled out and having to need help, it would make a huge difference. Now, what if they had 30 units? What if they had, 300 units? That would be a game changer, because then kids would do this for an hour every day and move, instead of all these stupid things that they're being forced to do that make no sense neurologically. Okay. So you can send me a message if you're interested in these, and there's more information, but I need you to understand that there's things out there that we should be doing that would help a lot more. So that's the end of that. Okay. So anybody who's watching on the replay, you can go away now. My dog is just Pookie. I'm going to read questions. If anybody has any questions about if you saw part 1 or part 2, you want to ask me about some of this, I'm going to let them out real fast because maybe he has to go to the bathroom. Come on. You're okay. Go ahead. Okay, I don't know what you need, honey. Okay, we're back. Let's see if anybody has a question that I can answer. Otherwise, I will hop off and I'm going to go do a video on cold for my fat loss group. Forget the fat, it's called. Happy holidays. Let's see. Saw something. Thank you. I look great. I saunaed and lifted today. I slept great. Such a difference. I have not been sleeping really well. That's just, you guys, family and relationships and people. Recalibrating theta waves. I don't know if that's a question. This isn't about brain waves. This is not about theta waves, alpha. This is not neurofeedback. Very, very different. We're coming at it from a bottom up, organizational. So sound, this therapy is more bottom up, and neurofeedback is kind of top down as far as neurological. Everybody does. I'm one of the few people in the entire country. There's I think 2 or 3 of us that are certified iLS practitioners and do neurofeedback. However, like the psychiatrist, Ron Minson, who was with iLS, who trained me years and years ago, he did neurofeedback in practice for a very long time and really taught me a lot about how to stack this. So typically in an ideal situation, since you brought up theta waves. I would do ILS on every single, he wanted me to do ILS on every single neurofeedback candidate first, and then do neurofeedback because it would be more effective and we could do less sessions. I did not get that dogmatic with it. I thought people aren't going to agree to that because this is going to take me 3 to 6 months. It's slower. The neurofeedback, I can kind of produce faster results here, but I probably could do better results if I took the time. If people are as patient could do, what I could get done in 6 to 12 months would be extraordinary. But sometimes I was in crisis and I need to hit it so hard to triage an acute situation. And I can do that quickly with neurofeedback. So anything's on the sound. There are several studies, so let me read somebody's comment. There are several studies showing that classical music can decrease both blood pressure and heart rate. Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt, I told the story about Mozart yesterday and how much frequency he could hear compared to other people and how organized and coherent it is. And it also shows that it increases IQ and test rates. There's no question. Again, this is not just sitting around listening to music. So that is the most preferred music for you to be listening to, right? There's no question you're in a different neurological and physiological state listening to the symphony than you are going to, a rap concert, right? It's not the same. One is very good for your body. One is not. It doesn't mean we still don't do some of the not good things, but just there's a difference. The studies on this are insane. You can go to integrated listening systems.com and see that. I'll tag them in the recording. This is changing the brain. This is a brain therapy. What's the name of the CD? This isn't a CD. This is a system. It's iPod based. It's digitized frequency music, very specific protocols with frequencies that go into the ear and heal issues and go to different parts of the brain and deal with auditory processing, relay switches, and feed different parts of the brain depending on what we need with frequencies. Sound is a nutrient, and there are different frequencies that open up over different age. It's not a CD at all. How does my skin look so clean and soft? Oh, I have skincare I sell. Aries Best, that's in my store, and it's super affordable. Very, very affordable. I have a couple options on skincare, and I use makeup. It's all in my store because I don't want anything toxic. It's not a focus of my practice, but like I'm not doing this much work to stay healthy and gonna put poisons on my skin, okay, or my hair, right? I just don't do that. Yeah, it's good stuff. Very affordable, no auto ship, that kind of stuff. So if you want it, send me a message, but it's in my store. It's in my bio. It's in my store. And this is the time to get stuff, get good holiday sales. And it's a plant-based, very unique product. Oh, I'm going in. You're very sweet. I'm really not, but I try. Oh my God, you call me queen. So funny. So Dr. Fit and Fabulous sent me a message, Jamie Seaman, like a couple of days ago. And she's like, hello, queen. She's like, you want to be on my podcast? I'm like, so first of all, lady, I'm putting that shit on a t-shirt. You call me queen. I mean, have you guys seen her body? It's insane. All right. Oh, I have a foster baby I've had for 3 years. That's the whole reason I follow you is for your direction, him for anything you suggest. Okay. Turn off all digital technology in your house. Do not let that child be damaged any further by screens and computers and phones. Don't let that I don't know if the baby is 3. If you've had it 3 years, it's 3 or 4 or 5. Be done with it. Put on some classical music. And the foundation of anything you can do to stimulate that child's parasympathetic nervous system. That's on anything that makes you laugh. Anything that makes you laugh is incredible. But that's throat stuff. So humming, singing, laughing, huge activation of the vagal nervous system. That child probably has a lot of trauma in their body. You can look into trauma release exercises. I don't know how they do kids that young, but this system, a young child I could put a 3-4-year-old on this, no problem. ear rubbing, rub the baby's ears. Just do ear massages, okay? Like, oh, you do it. And then you can teach. Watch my 4 movement video on YouTube where I teach these coherent movements, simple things to bring vagus activation and coherence for the little baby. I'm going to call anybody under 10 a baby. Yeah, good nutrition. Please throw away TV. Don't, it's so much harder to walk back a child. And if you've already been using screens, pull that shit away. Just make a Band-Aid it away. It damages them. It puts every time a child is watching a screen, I don't care what it is, their brain goes into fight or flight. That's a whole nother conversation neurologically to have. And it's so backed up by science. It needs to stop. It's the sheer flicker of the screens. I don't care what it is. It's flicker damage causing the brain to go into fight or flight. Okay. Do we need the whole headphone? The whole thing is its own units. It's not about specific headphones. Yeah, it's a whole unit. This whole thing is a whole system that has programs and protocols that a clinician has set up for you. So this is a very specific all-attached unit that is bringing the frequency through the ears and through the bone, actually. Okay. It's bone conduction and air conduction. It's very specific. This isn't like a CD. It's a whole therapeutic unit. If I send this to you, you are sending it to me back, or you're going to owe me thousands of dollars. It's thousands of dollars. It's not music. It's not just like, oh, it's a special CD. No. I'm in Atlanta. Well, but it's one of those things like you might want to reach out to me and see about things. Where do I start? Message, email the office, desk@drrimka.com, or message me, and we'll start, communicating and see if it's a good fit for you, for the baby now or not. You 3, so we're 6 years old now? Oh yeah, perfect age. Does this also work for my inner child? Yes. Yeah. Dementia, Alzheimer's, all of this too. Yeah. This should be in every nursing home. There should be several of these. Yeah. They aren't that expensive. And the fact that these organizations are not investing in this is sickening to me, quite frankly. They spend money on stuff that's damaging the people, and you could be feeding the brain. Yes. 28, would this work for a 28-year-old with high functioning autism? Yes. So typically with autism, I'm going to suggest they end up buying it because they're going to use it a lot. So a program is typically 3 months, let's say 3 to 4 months to get through a program. So there's programs, there's calming, they're called calming, safe and sound. Then there's sensory motor. That's a really long 60 sessions. Those are what younger people are going to need. Then you have focus and concentration. I don't start, like, again, body organization. Where do you think the tactile things start? So some of the people they're going to do sensory motor 3 times a year, 3 months, take a month off, 3 months, take a month off, 3 months. So you're just going to keep doing this, for a while. Then before we get to something like neurofeedback. So let's say a 6-year-old, I would be doing this. I would probably do this for quite a while before I do neurofeedback. I like them to be 8 or 9 before I do that. So yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's called Integrating Listening Systems, Gitchi Gano, iLS. You can go to their website. Again, you can either go to a clinician who's doing it, like a speech language pathologist, an occupational therapist, person like me. We do it, there's in-office settings where they kind of take over. When we do it in office, in general, we're going to use a stronger thing. So the device that we use, I don't use that one. I stick with the simple home unit. So everybody deals with that, but there's a higher, stronger one that we never let parents take home. You can't rent those. You can't have it. You have to be certified in the strength of how strong that is. So it's already safe, and hi from Australia. Bad nipple. What a funny thing. Are you affiliated with a company? Yeah, I'm a certified practitioner. You can't just get these. You have to be certified. You have to be a clinician. And I'm certified to train people with it and do them remote. Yeah. So I'm a practitioner for them, right? For 11 years. So I've been doing this with patients for 11 years. Didn't start last week. Okay. But I'm just starting to tell you about it on the socials. This is just a new thing for me. Okay, so I'm going to do part 3, and that's going to cover a little bit more about things like frequency, prosody, sequencing, like how language actually goes on and what this is doing. But I think I'll leave it at that. I'm still recording on the YouTube thing, so I guess I'll leave it for on YouTube for them. All right, I'm gonna tap out with that. So if you didn't see part 1 yesterday, go see that. You'll see that I'm wearing it, right, in the video. This is how it looks. It goes around the waist. Kids wear it. Adults wear it. Like I have adults that wear it. I have just prescribed it to a woman yesterday. Okay. iPod. This is a really old one. They'll have newer things. And this is an amplifier. So you're hearing sound in 2 ways. So sound is coming through the air and it's coming through the bone. I'll get into that. That bone conduction is critical. Sound therapies that there's a lot out there that do not have bone conduction. They are not as good. You want the bone conduction. And I'm going to go over that in part 3. Why bone conduction is the most important. There's only 2 systems on the market that have bone conduction. This is one of them. I think it's better than the other one. Okay. And there's only one system on the market that puts in Tomatis, Dr. Tomatis based frequency sound therapy. Boom. Bone conduction. And understands movement. So there's a whole movement exercise playbook and things that are designed around that, because that's how we build body organization. That's how we're addressing eyes, we're addressing ears, we're addressing body organization, vestibular cochlear, vagus nerve activation, and a thing we would call embodiment. But I'll go over that next time.